Hey guys, hope you had a great week. I know I had a busy one, making a lot of plans and then having to reschedule plans and all sorts of stuff. And honestly, when you have these kind of busy moments, it kind of makes me want to like touch base and like get back to the things that I used to enjoy, which reminds me how much I can't say I used to like drawing, but just that I used to draw and I like drawing. Drawing is something it's probably one of the few things that like outside of like interhuman relationships I'd say it's probably one of the few things that I really have a profound passion for. Like it goes like super deep. Like I remember being like a little kid and like drawing was my getaway. I remember being in grade school and being able to just sit down and just start drawing. Like, I probably should have been paying a little bit more attention. Maybe it would have helped me out a whole lot, but like drawing is what I enjoyed. And I remember like the very first time I took up drawing, it was like back before even grade school. It was back when I was in like it was kind of like before, but also during grade school. It was back when I was in daycare, and I would draw like basketball logos. Like I remember I used to draw the logo for the Toronto Raptors NBA team, but like also I would draw like Sonic the Hedgehog characters. Like I remember like one of my favorite things to draw, like one of my earliest favorite drawings was of Knuckles the Echidna from Sonic the Hedgehog, and I think that's probably also the first time I ever received like a compliment for my art. Where it's kind of weird too. It's like the kind of people who like, you can I guess they can kind of feel that their passion also is slipping away into adulthood, and like they see that you as a kid can still enjoy these things, but like it's like I don't know, like maybe they just kind of wish like they could just sit down and draw and be carefree, and maybe like she's working at the daycare center because she has to move on. She has to start living life, and you can't just sit around and do nothing. And I mean that's one of the things that kind of upsets me is like it's like there's a song called Rings by Aesop Rock, and one of the early lines that he says, like he says stuff like I used to draw, it's hard to admit that I used to draw, and then he like would describe like some of the things that he used to draw, and like these are like detailed wonderful amazing things, and it's just like it sucks because yeah, that's the kind of person that like he once was an artist, and it's about so much more than just drawing though. It's about like how life catches up with you, and then suddenly you have to stop doing things like drawing, and you have to start doing other things that you might not necessarily like, but you have to do them. And I guess that's what makes it a passion for me, is the fact that despite that, it's still something that sticks with me even to this day. And I kind of wish that like I maybe could take more time and actually like invest in these things, because like that's the funny thing about a passion is when you're passionate about something, it doesn't matter how much you feel taken away from that thing, it doesn't matter how much you feel disconnected by whatever life is bringing you, you still want to do that thing, you still want to indulge in that thing, you still want to be a part of that thing. And it's kind of how I feel when it comes to drawing. I wish I would take more time out of my day to draw something. Maybe I should. Like, if you're hearing this, let me know. Do you think maybe I should, like, try to take, at least like 10-15 minutes out of a day and, and draw something? Would you be interested in seeing that type of thing? Like, I don't know. Like, I enjoy it, but I don't know. Like, I feel like the part of me that was really good at drawing has been disconnected from the part of me that is really good at working, at doing what people expect of me. And I wish I could be doing like, more of those things. I feel that's kind of what we have to do. We have to like take a deep breath and just kind of remember the things that we used to enjoy when we were younger. Because like, video games are cool, but like for me, like what I enjoy the most isn't so much video games like like on their base level. It's the idea of building something, of doing something amazing, of finding progression in life, of, like having something to show for my efforts. And that's part of the reason why I really enjoyed drawing. Was you sit down, you take out that piece of paper and you just start putting things together, and it's something that like you can hold on to and just kind of really enjoy and love. And it's just kind of like you then like put it into like a folder or something, and you say like, oh, this is my best piece of art yet, and I'm never going to let this go. I'm going to keep it forever, and I'm going to remember this moment. And then next thing you know, you're halfway through your life and you have no idea where that box is, and you're wondering, it's like, was I ever a child to begin with? Like, deep, maybe, I don't know, maybe too deep, but it's just kind of like how it goes from. But like, you know what, let's think less about the dread of forgetting what the passion once was, or let's forget about the dread of what the passion now is, and let's, hopefully I'm using this word correctly, but commiserate on what it once was. And for me, Flick, this is not a bug, but whatever. Actually, no, I do count this as a bug. Um, I count pretty much any invertebrate as a bug. Um, or at least, yeah, pretty much any invertebrate can be considered a bug, because, I mean, otherwise, if you're trying to split hairs, there's people who are just like, going to argue about anything and everything else about what is or isn't a bug. But anyway, drawing, like, I remember as a kid, I would draw on anything. I draw my book covers. Teachers hated that, because like it's supposed to cover your books that you're supposed to be reading and studying, not supposed to be drawing every little thing on it. But then also, like, I would, and it didn't matter if it was like plain paper. I used to draw on that, like when I would visit my mom at work. But also, lined paper. I can make the best out of lined paper. Or you can make a whole sheet of little, I guess, like proto chibi characters, because like Chibi wasn't around when I was like really young, or at least it wasn't. If it was probably around, but it wasn't really big in the United States. But what I would do is, on a piece of lined paper, I could draw like your head on one line and then the body on two lines, and it was pretty much like made like a pretty, you know, well structured, just like body formula. And so like it made it a little easier for me to like make like bigger or smaller or whatnot. It was pretty cool. I like that. But stuff like that. Also, I love to draw like characters from like the games I would play. Like, you already know, like I draw Sonic the Hedgehog characters. I probably have an OC. I couldn't tell you what they were exact. Maybe, actually, give me a moment. I'll make a video in the future tell you about why I like Sonic the Hedgehog, and I'll try to see if I can remember what my OC was all the way back in the day, because I'm pretty sure I actually did have one. I just can't remember the details about it. But I mean, anybody who liked Sonic and knew how to draw pretty much had one as well. But like, I played Ragnarok online, and I like to make characters like based off of the stories in my head from when I played Ragnarok. There's just like all sorts of cool things to take into consideration. And then like that like transcended and started making like my own like stories. When we were drawing, um, where drawing took up too much energy, you found yourself making mental stories, and it's like, oh man, I've been asked so many times by so many people, especially by my wife and her family, her siblings specifically, but oh man, you really need to like draw these characters from the story. And like, that's another thing. Like, I love them to death, and they know that I'm a pretty decent artist. I feel like in their minds, I'm one of the better. I hate to ever use the word best. I don't think that I'm the best at anything particularly. If I've ever said it, it was jokingly. Like, I have a friend named Hyman, who I jokingly, he and I like got together and we're like hanging out the other day, and he asked me about a game that just had a new release, and I was jokingly telling him about how, like, of course I tried this game. You do know I was like the best like ever at like a previous title of the game, but it was all joking. Like I don't really think, I don't know. Like some people can call it like pessimism. Some people call it humility, and probably somewhere in between. For me, it's just a matter of realism. I say that I'm not the best because it is the reality of the situation. There's always a bigger fish out there. Somebody can say that, like, oh, you're a great artist. Like, yeah, that's fine. See, I'm fine with like general compliments. I just don't like those hyperboles. Like, oh, you're the. If somebody tells me you're a great artist, that's fine. I can live with that. If somebody says you're the greatest artist ever, I'm like, Da Vinci actually existed, right? Like, stuff like that. But I enjoyed all sorts of things, and it's kind of hard to pinpoint the exact moment where I stopped drawing. Like my last great artwork, though, I would say when I was in high school and I was nearing graduation, there's a series that I used to draw. I called it Odd Net, which is basically, it was just Nintendo backwards, and it started off as a Super Smash Brothers parody where I would just kind of take random characters from Nintendo. Sometimes even like a little bit punny characters, but for the most part, it's just like characters. It was like it was like Death Battle before Death Battle type of thing, and like it was a fun little experiment. To this day, my favorite one is probably Shadow the Hedgehog versus Mewtwo in a battle of the ultimate life forms. And one of the things I really liked about it is because I've never really been big on coloring in my art. This one was one of, if probably not, like probably not the only one that ever actually had color, and the only color it had was red to emphasize the grittiness of it. But it was a fun thing. But the last great artwork I'd say I did was I made a whole comic. It was a tournament between like official Nintendo characters and odd net and parodies. So you'd have people like Super Mario and I'm trying to think like who else was there. Oh, like Link was there too, stuff like that. But then their opponents were stuff like one of them was like Peekaboom, which was basically a horrible like stereotype of like of basically like terrorists. It was just basically like Pikachu wearing a what are those things, like a turban and a belt of dynamite with a long beard. Like basically, if you took like Osama bin Laden and mixed it with an electric rodent, that's what it was. And like that was like, I think that was like the first matchup. It was him versus Super Mario, and Mario just shot some fireballs at him haphazardly and blew them both up. It's like, oh, well, you're both out of the tournament. But then like another one was like Shamus, which was basically just Shamu in Samus Aran's armor. Or the big bad of the whole series was Starbox, which was basically just a cardboard box with a star taped to it. But like the catch was, the inside of the box was basically just a black hole that sucked everything inside of it. And it was you had to they had to stop it. And like one of the big heroes who came to stop it was when the character Old Link fused with normal Link and make him like some sort of like Super Link, and they worked with Lario, which was just really poorly thought out, but it was what it was, and it was supposed to be like just a really cool thing, and I enjoyed it, and it was a pretty cool thing altogether. It made pretty much the entire story. I wanted to make another one later on that had all original characters that I had, but I started it but never actually got too much into it, and I ended up losing it, and I ultimately ended up losing this comic that I made as well. And since then, I can't say I've ever really made anything too cool. Like I make Christmas cards and sometimes birthday cards every year for my family, but that's really about it. There's like not much else that I can say. I'd like to get back into drawing at some point. Maybe I will. I don't know. if there's actually like an interest out there in like me drawing something, then I'll probably strongly consider it. You guys got to let me know if that's something that you'd like to see. Is that something you like?